Hello and welcome to the Happy Weight podcast. This is Aoife Dean. Thank you so much for joining me. If this is your first episode, welcome. I struggled a lot with eating and weight issues before. I was 3 stone heavier. I had binge eating, bulimia, etc. I got over it, thank God. And in the midst of all of that as well, I was a dietitian, or I am a dietitian, and I have a master's in nutritional medicine. And I've been helping people with this for 16 years now. So it's a big passion of mine, and I'd love to help you to get to the other side of this too. If you're an old listener, if you've listened to other episodes, by the way, I'd love your feedback. I'd love the good, and I'll brace myself for the bad. And if you've any, if you want to give it a steer, or if you kind of feel that there's an episode or a topic that I should cover in more detail, I would love your feedback. So email me or message me on Instagram or something like that. So today we are going to be talking about chocolate. And chocolate is just one of those, basically any food that a diet ever made you give up or limit then becomes a guilt food. So it's quite common that people have guilt around chocolate. And the crap thing about guilt is the more guilt you feel about a food, the more of that food that you eat than everyone else. That's what's really unfair about it. When people make a big issue about chocolate, they think it really is bad. They think it's stopping them from losing weight, or it's the one thing in their way to losing weight. That's the kind of thinking that's going to make you eat a lot of it. So we kind of need to create the opposite relationship with chocolate. We need to kind of reverse psychology, the whole thing, because the relationship with chocolate that we've developed because of dieting is not in a good place generally. If we are kind of on the wagon, off the wagon approach, or the saddest thing as well about a bad relationship with chocolate, I know this from my own history, is that you're really missing out. Ultimately, chocolate is a very positive food. It can really add to our day. It can make us feel mentally better. It can make us feel physically better. And it's awful if we don't have the tools to be able to do that. For me, if I ate chocolate, I could only eat it in a way that meant eating too much or spiraling into a bad day or a bad week and having a lot of, guilt and self-hatred for eating it. So talk about ruining a positive thing and making it negative. So that's another reason why we want to turn all this around. So we get to experience what other people are experiencing with chocolate, where it is just one of millions and millions of foods out there that potentially can make us feel well. Depending on the day, depending on the time, depending on the amount, it can make us feel well. And then on other times, it's where it's not that interesting, or it wouldn't taste that good, or it wouldn't be the right time for our belly or whatever. So the first things first, right? And I think this could be powerful if you make this decision right here, right now. The first thing to accept, right, is that you like chocolate, okay? So just ask yourself, do you like chocolate? Do you remember times eating it and liking it? Is it an important value in your life with friends and family? Maybe bonding with friends over food is important to you, or, eating dessert with other people, or sharing ice creams, or sharing family or romantic moments, or friendship moments, or moments with your children or nieces or nephews or grandkids with chocolate. Maybe that's the life you see for yourself, that food comes into our life and it comes into our relationships. Another thing to ask yourself is, have you ever overeaten chocolate? Have you ever binged on it? Do you ever remember eating it emotionally? And if the answer to any of the above is yes, well, then you have to accept chocolate is going nowhere. If you have weight to lose, or if you want a good relationship with food, that means working with chocolate. If chocolate stays an enemy, your weight is always at risk. And the longer it stays an enemy, the more your weight will be at risk. And I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm not saying that to be negative, but that's just what I've seen. If we can't cope with a food, if all we can do with a food is either entirely cut it out or be eating it in an out of control way, that's not a steady foundation for our weight for the future. So the first thing we have to accept that can create a lot of peace is that this food is going nowhere. It's not going anywhere. There is not a Monday or a future to come where you will be eating less chocolate. And the reason I say that, and the reason it's so important, is because the main reason people overeat is because they've a slight thought in the back of their mind that the day I'll be slimmer, the day I'll be getting slim, the day I'll be properly, moving forward with my weight loss, I won't be eating chocolate. So because in the future I won't be eating chocolate, I'm going to eat a lot of it now today. And the thing is that other people don't think like that. Other people without weight problems, people who don't overeat, they're not telling themselves the food is going away. And therefore, they don't have to override physical cues like taste and the feeling in their belly with this survival instinct of, oh my God, I better eat it before it goes. So for me, it became really important to just accept, Aoife, you are going to be eating chocolate more days than not for the rest of your life. And no matter who you are or how powerful you are, you're not going to close down Cadbury's. Cadbury's is safe and well. So are Nestle. So are all the other companies out there with chocolate. And I was thinking about this a while ago, 20 years ago, I don't think you could get chocolate in every single hospital or in the NCT centre or in every gym and every pool. Chocolate is just more and more available. It's getting cheaper and cheaper. You can buy a share bar now for €1. So we have to really lean into the idea and the fact that it is going nowhere. So in order for us to get to the weight we want to be, chocolate will need to be in our life for two reasons. One, because you've clearly proved you like it. And two, because it isn't going anywhere. So that means we have to work with what we have and we have to develop a good relationship with it. And on that note, I suppose an addictive relationship, you hear about sometimes, girls and boys getting into relationships where it's hot and cold, and it's a bit toxic and they're kind of addicted to each other, but it's an awful relationship, but they can't let each other go. And stuff like that, we make something addictive when, there's happy times, but then it's gone. Say people get addicted to, say, a guy that gives them attention and then ghosts them or disappears for a few weeks or whatever. And that kind of guy with the wrong person will create, someone thinking he's important or addictive because he's acting like that. And we're creating the same thing weirdly with chocolate, because we might have a little day of eating chocolate or a weekend of eating chocolate and it's quite nice. And then we tell ourselves, oh, now it's forbidden. Now it's gone away. And that's how you make something addictive. You make something addictive by it's there and then it's gone. And then it's there and it's good and then it's gone. So we actually want to make it as boring as a fruit bowl now. There's a lot of people who aren't great with fruit and, there's fruit bowl on their table every day, but they mightn't eat any fruit, So we want to make it a very typical everyday food. And half of that, I think, is our own coaching. Half of us is telling ourselves, this is not going away. So say for instance, if you were a VIP and I was your dietitian and I was a live-in dietitian giving you all your meals. And imagine if I was okay, your new diet now starting this week is going to be 6 Galaxy caramels every day. That's going to be your new diet. And for a lot of people, that would cause weight loss, actually. 4 or 5 chocolate bars a day would probably cause weight loss. You'd feel awful and you'd be very undernourished and irritable and all sorts of things. But from a calorie point of view, you probably would lose weight. But the idea of that, can you imagine? Can you imagine if the next 3 meals you have today were just only chocolate and the same tomorrow, just only chocolate? When you really kind of feel into that, you're I don't think I could handle that amount of it in my body every day, or I don't think that would be a good feeling or whatever it might be. So when abundance is pushed on us, when you really push yourself that it is there tomorrow, you can't get away from it. chocolate will continuously be advertised to you, offered to you. Every filling station you stop at, so many random places, there will be chocolate there. It will be there. It will be there. It'll be there. So keep kind of pressing that on your mind that like there's always more later, and don't let yourself off the hook with that dramatic, it's going to be gone tomorrow, or this is my last hurrah. That's what I was saying above about like, make it clear that you like chocolate, right? It's in your life. And there are thousands of things you don't care about. There are thousands of things that you don't care about that very well might not be in your diet as you let go of weight and you keep it off. But stuff you love has to be dealt with. That has to be in your diet. It's kind of like furniture in your house. It's like you want to keep the furniture in your house that suits you and makes you happy and all the rest of it. And you don't need stuff that is not your thing. And in your diet, it's the same. So this next bit of advice kind of goes against all the stuff I usually say, which is very like compassionate and supportive and all the rest of it. But I suppose we have to stop ourselves from nonsense, and if you ever catch yourself, right, and you're mindlessly finishing some share bag, or you're mindlessly finishing some bit of chocolate, and you remember hearing the thoughts, oh, I'm doing this because I know I'm going to be good tomorrow, or I know I'm going to go on a big walk that will cancel this out. Or you remember the scarcity thinking that pushed you into finishing it without actually needing it or enjoying it. I would kind of say we have to punish nonsense behavior. So when I used to catch myself doing that, I would make sure that my next meal was chocolate only, or had chocolate in it at the very minimum. But it's like, stop your nonsense that this is your last hurrah, and always disprove that it's your last hurrah. And the good thing with that, right, is it is a proper punishment, because when you're telling yourself, oh, this will go away, I'm going to be good now on Monday, I'm going to be good next week. That's the kind of thing we tell ourselves when we're eating to discomfort. So the effective thing about this is you might eat chocolate to discomfort, and then your punishment is the next time you're hungry, you have to eat it again, which you really won't want to do. But you have to, because that's the punishment for talking absolute nonsense to yourself. So we have to curb and cut out that thinking completely. And we have to catch ourselves every time we're eating excess chocolate coming from a place of scarcity, or this is my last time doing it, or whatever. The next one to really think about is always slow down. So part of this toxic nonsense relationship, so the toxic part and the nonsense part being like, oh, this is so bold, I shouldn't be doing it. And on Monday, I won't eat any chocolate. I'm soon going to give it all up. Like, that's absolute nonsense, because there's plenty of slim people who eat chocolate. So what a nonsense storyline. So actually the people who do have weight problems are the people who can't have chocolate around them, or they can't have a good relationship with food. So like I said, we need to welcome chocolate into our life now, not be planning to cut it out. So as well as that, right, say you're in a moody kind of mood and you're like, screw it, I'm just going to pull into the filling station and get whatever. And that's another moment, and I know it's easier said than done, but just slow down. And because we can be quite all or nothing in that moment. We can be like, screw it, I'm going to fall off the wagon and I'm going to eat something I shouldn't eat. And don't let yourself have that bad relationship with food, because food should be valued, and food can be lovely, and food can make you feel well. And when we're coming at it from that angle of like, screw it, I'm falling off the wagon, it's not a really loving place. It's kind of using food to abuse yourself. It's kind of using food to kind of hurt yourself. So kind of don't let yourself do that. Like, make the plan now that you intend on having a positive relationship with food, like, and chocolate specifically. Like, chocolate is going to be in your life. It's going to be in your life most days, at least being offered to you most days in your life. So you might as well, for the decades longer, the many decades you have maybe ahead of you, you want to be in a good place with that. So slow down your thinking in those moments. And when you hear all the like, oh, screw it, just, get off the wagon and get whatever chocolate you want, be like, no. I want to be a chocolate connoisseur in this moment. And I want to help how I feel, and I want to help my emotions. I want to help myself feel better. Like, I'm entitled to make myself feel better. So like, eating no chocolate would not be fair on me in this moment. And making myself feel sick because I want to feel better, or I want to feel emotionally better, is not fair either. So slow down and have a little think about what specifically nice chocolate you would like, because there is a big difference between a brownie or an ice cream or a chocolate bar or whatever else, or a mocha or whatever. So like, really slow down and think about right now in this moment, what is the thing that could help me, and focus on the help. So your focus on studying how much of a help it was. How did it taste to your taste buds? How did it feel to your belly? We want to study that. And I really think that our focus on how it tastes to our body in that moment, how it feels to our belly in that moment, is how we finish disordered eating. Because disordered eating is just very basic. You shouldn't be eating chocolate. You should never eat chocolate. And of course, that will not lead us to a place where we're a healthy weight and we're competent with all foods. So now we want to study what physically works for us and what doesn't. And actually, I have a bit of a story of that from myself today. I didn't sleep well at all last night. And also I'm on my period, and I generally have no side effects with my period, which can sometimes then make me, presume it's nothing at all when, of course it does take it out of you. So I was like a bag of cats this morning anyway. I was feeling really rubbish. And weirdly, both my clients had to move. And that kind of actually never happens really. Like, people are really good with their appointments. But I think the gods were like protecting them from me, because I probably wasn't in great form or whatever. And I had to go to Cork for meetings later on in the day. And I basically crawled my way into Galvin's and Manway into the filling station. And I got myself a chocolate muffin and a mocha. And like, I was just, like I said, I was moody. I was kind of weirdly weepy. Had zero energy, and like, the thing was, I was walking in there and, that was me just doing my level best, right? Like, as in, you can't fault yourself for wanting to feel better. Like, I wanted to feel better, and I got those two things. And the weird thing is, I was expecting, okay, there might be some downside to this. I'll probably talk about it on the podcast, and, I'll probably have a sugar crash or whatever. Nothing. I felt 100% better after it. My mood was better. My energy was better. Like, everything was better. And I realized that, like, I had been out dancing the night before, and I didn't have any bread in my breakfast, and I only had like 3 or 4 rice cakes were left in the pack. So like, I probably I wasn't nourished enough. I didn't have enough carbs. Like, we do need more carbs during our period. So I was like the mechanic with the bad car, I was the dietitian not following my own advice. So that's why the muffin and the chocolate, the hot chocolate, the mocha fitted in perfectly, because there was an absence of carbohydrate needed. So it was the perfect fuel for that moment. And obviously, my God, if Mark Hyman or any of these like super militant anti-sugar people could hear me, I'm sure they'd have a very different opinion. But for me, it super worked. It really, really worked. And then I suppose the next part to the tale that's different from when I had a weight problem was, I suppose, like, when you feel crappy, I think food is part of the solution, but you're really doing yourself a disservice if it's the only solution. So I was feeling really bad. Also, I have an autoimmune disease, so I have to watch my stress levels and overall health in general. So I took the initiative to book a 45-minute massage appointment for €70 today. And I minded myself that way. So that was another thing. And then I had a little 10-15 minute nap during the day as well between calls. So they're all things that I wouldn't have done before. And it's very easy for us to say, oh, well, I don't have time for a 45-minute massage or something. It's like people manage to have 6 hours screen time a day, but they don't have time for a 45-minute massage. We can always say that we don't have the time or we don't have the money or whatever to take care of ourselves. And I was so like that when I was workaholic in London. And eventually you realize there is not ever a good time. And like, I know I probably say it every episode, but that thinking that tomorrow will be easier or next week it will be easier, that gets us into really bad habits. Because at the end of the day, how good our health is how good our habits are. And for every day we push the can down the road of, oh, it'll be easier once this project is finished, or it'll be easier once this thing happens. No, you're just settling for really sloppy behaviors. And this probably sounds over the top as well, but like, basically everyone has a different cutoff point. And what I've done for myself is I've moved my cutoff point to a lot earlier. That means that, like, you know, feeling shitty, like it's earlier when I do something about it now. Whereas before I would have let it really unravel and felt really physically and mentally bad before I did anything. And that's the thing you have to monitor yourself with, because like I said, I've been working in healthcare 17 years and everyone has their own cutoff point for how bad they're willing to feel or how bad things have to get before they take care of themselves. So some people will not mind themselves at all until they're written off for stress by a GP. I've come across plenty of clients like that. Some people will not take care of themselves until they get a diagnosis of cancer. And I wish I was exaggerating on that one. I'm not. I've experienced that with clients too. And then you've got the other side of the coin. I've had CEOs with kids with the busiest lives you can imagine, and the place could be burning down and they are going to squash on a Thursday at 1 p.m. Like that, they have non-negotiable things to mind their health. So I've kind of really gone off topic there a little bit, but I suppose my point was, yes, the mocha helped and yes, the muffin helped, but that was only a teeny part of my overall strategy to feel better today. And the old me would have not just stopped in Manway, would have stopped 15 minutes down the road again in Copine to get something else and just be on a little binge and then stop again in Bale na Blah 15 minutes later and got a chocolate croissant or something. And I would have been like, oh, well, the gates are open now. It's a bad day. And it's like, yet again, what a way to ruin a positive experience. Like for me, that mocha and the muffin was positive. I came out of it feeling better. And when we have a bad mindset with food, it's like, we'll just make shit of a good situation. Like I said, the old me would have just added and added and added to the sugar in my belly and the food in my belly, meaning that I wouldn't have felt good at all. And then, of course, I would have mentally gave myself a bashing at all. Now I know there's, and hopefully I'm convincing you, there's never a need to give yourself a mental bashing for a food. There are no bad foods. There are just bad feelings. And today, even if I had felt bad after the muffin and the mocha, I don't need to wait 24 hours to fix it. Do you know when we say, oh, it's a bad day now, so I've no hope of feeling better until tomorrow? Like, what is that about? Sure, there's a million things we could do in the next hour or two so we feel a bit better if we don't emotionally or physically have to feel well. We shouldn't have to wait 24 hours to feel a bit better again. That's pretty crap. So instead, it's kind of like, that was great. That was a win. The mocha and the muffin really set me up. Felt fantastic after it. And then just there, I had some salmon and rice. Salmon was awful, actually. I don't know what was wrong with it, but it wasn't great. And I love juices. I love making carrot and orange juice. I think it's amazing for my skin. I think my belly approves of it. And so it's like the mocha and the muffin were amazing this morning, but so was the rice and the juice and the goat's cheese and the olives and the stuff I had just there. That was a different nice taste and feeling in my belly. So I suppose my overall advice to you is to bring in chocolate into your life and, don't do it in an urgent way. Do it in a very settled, calm, loving way. So maybe if you even want to think of your top 7 chocolatey things that you love and have at least one of them a day for the next few days. Now, the main thing to do though, you're not allowed to make yourself feel gross with them, right? You have to practice eating them in a positive way. So that means when you're eating them, you're grateful to Mr. Cadbury or whoever made them, and you're grateful for the taste, and you're grateful that you have the access to them. And then you're eating it in a way that puts a nice feeling in your belly. So you are not allowed to eat something if you're going to destroy it. You are not allowed to eat something if you're going to give out to yourself, be ungrateful for it, or use it to make your belly feel mank. So I think for every one event that we have positive with food, with chocolate, every one positive event we have with it, it's a huge step forward because it's about what it means for our future. If you can even in the next few days have one positive moment with chocolate where you used it to feel better, you used it to put a lovely feeling in your belly, and you told yourself a million times, hey, there's going to be more later and there's going to be more tomorrow. So you didn't have to ruin that feeling by overeating. You knew there was always going to be more tomorrow. And you promoted a positive kind of self-talk in your brain after eating it. Like as in, if your belly had no problem with it, your mind has no right to give out to you about it. You did not do anything bad for your health or your weight. If your body and your stomach feels absolutely perfect after what you ate, that's not the stuff that causes weight problems. The stuff that causes weight problems is when we feel physically not well at all, overfull, or eating stuff we don't like. So yeah, I hope today's podcast was helpful. You can work with me one-to-one. Get onto me. happyweight.ie is my website. And thank you so much for being here, and have a lovely week.